Is this a satanic truth or a satanic lie? If we study the Old Testament and it's true, glorious, it'll probably take a couple of year forms. You really see that the present evil age is typified, signified, marked by demons behind the nations. Paganism has always had that flavor, let's call it. So, is Satan really telling a truth here? Did all the worldly governments really belong to him? Could he really offer them to Jesus? Now, Jesus doesn't deny this. He does say, he rebukes the worship part, but he doesn't say, wait a minute, you're not the king of me, or you're not the God of this age, to put words into Paul's words into Jesus' mouth. So we'll further look at who is the real, as the Greek says, literally it's world ruler, the cosmos krator of this present evil age. For example, I'll just give you one. 1 John 5:19, if you're writing down, is an interesting one. John says that the whole world is lying in the lap of the wicked one. The power and the grip, if you will, of the wicked one. So this helps us understand why Jesus in John 18, for example, when he's facing one of these representatives of the nations, Pilate, what does he say to Pilate? Well, my kingdom does not originate from this demonic world. Revelation 12:9 says that presently we are the nations are being misled by Satan. Adam was the ruler, right? So it says Genesis is an account of God creates us. Mm-hmm. He puts us in the world, mm-hmm. represented by this incredible garden. And then this snake slithers in, mm-hmm. and then they fall for the lie that they will live forever, which means they weren't made at that point anyway, eternal or immortal. So I would place it there. I would say that Adam, in effect, handed over the reins to Satan. When that happens, remember, the creation itself starts to decay, remember? Everything, and then it says that the ground becomes dry and barren and so on. Except for this little patch, this beautiful Garden of Eden, which they are driven out of. And remember, there's even an angel with a big sword or something guarding the entrance back. And they go out into what looks like a desolate, ugly world now. And then Genesis 6, as we saw, the importance of Genesis 6 is that evil is added on top of evil. Disobedience is added on top of disobedience. The Genesis 6 event is key to the understanding that there's human evil and then there's this added evil. Mm-hmm. That just tells us how bad it is. And Genesis 6 is also telling us how evil will persist through time even. So as we are not in a vacuum, again, we always have to go to other sources sometimes. Now, these are extra biblical sources. Again, like I said with Enoch, when it came to Genesis 6, I think it's helpful for Christians to read extra biblical works, like the books should be of Enoch and Jubilees and even Maccabees, I would suggest, is a good historical marker. Why is this important? Because when we accept that Satan is the God of this age, Jesus says Satan was a murderer from the beginning in John 8. He's the functional ruler of all versions of the kingdoms of the world. We can make sense of the fact that the history of the world has been one of violent conflict in all of recorded history. Only a few decades have seen no major war, so we're steeped in war and blood. And then he talks about the figures, which are sickening. 200 million people in just the last couple of centuries. The blood that has been shed. he goes on to say, we fallen humans have passionate convictions that control us, lead us into conflict with others who have equally passionate convictions. We believe in our nation over against their nation, our religion against their religion, our culture against their culture, our political ideology, their political ideology. And insofar as we're influenced by the kingdom of the world, we express these passions by attempting to exercise a power over people through the nations, with culture, religion, or political ideologies. But inevitably, he says, Boyd, violence is the result. The Bible speaks much of rebellious gods, fallen principalities, powers, demons that affect what comes to pass in this world. There are gods over particular nations that are not on God's side, that do not exercise, do not exercise their dominion in kingdom-like ways, and so on. And all the while, says Boyd, look at the last line, all the while, Satan, the ultimate power over, he calls it, Boyd, the God of this age, what's he do? He watches the bloodshed with a demonic sense of amusement. It's, as a famous radio guy said, it's sick and it's getting sicker out there, folks.